Today, we are witnessing another amazing example of multi-stakeholder model. Talk to Safaricom, powered by KICTANet. When I and Steve started this conversation on the need to engage, it was over a post done on our KICTANet list about premium rate services where subscribers had been charged unknowingly.
Gigi, thank you personally, because that day when the discussion happened, you actually provoked me and said, why don't you say something? And I said I would say something, and we have been out of KICTANet for almost 3 years. We just don't comment. It had become a very toxic environment.
And Steve felt that KICTANet was in the habit of bashing Safaricom and not even paying cognizance of the fact that some of the sins that Safaricom was being accused of were really misplaced.
There are very specific issues that are being misinterpreted and the wrong conclusions made on very obvious things. And I just thought we're losing out on an opportunity here.
But having understood that Safaricom side of the story, I remember asking Steve, so who's going to set that record straight? Because I won't.
I'm director for corporate affairs, and it's my job to engage. So I said, I have to change this, and we have to go back to KICTANet. So that is how the idea was born.
And here we are today for the part 2 of the conversation. Part 1 happened online, so here today we are meeting face to face. So I think we need to clap for Safaricom for...
Safaricom is an interesting company, and sometimes in our eyes you have to go beyond the numbers. If you look only at the numbers, then Safaricom is, this big company that does I don't know what.
All the 150 tickets to this meeting were fully subscribed on day 3. I'm really not sure whether this is an indication of Safaricom's popularity, or whether it's an indication of KICTANet's convening power, or whether it's an indication of the love of Kenyans for cocktails. What I am so sure of is that this is a demonstration of the willingness of stakeholders in this sector to engage on issues which they care about.
Every other year we have a first, or a new way to look at things that is, a bit different. What has happened because of that is that we've become a bit big. I'm happy to see Facebook here, which makes me feel very small. So we became big, and then we became a big target. That's what I was told. If you're big, you're a big target. And it goes with the territory.
But Steve, this is normal in this country. When you're big, when you must get bashing.
As Gigi has said, I should expect bashing. But where there's bashing, there's also an opportunity to give the right information.
Steve, there's nothing as beautiful as me and you disagreeing. Very much we disagree. But then sit and have a cup of coffee and laugh. So, yes, or beer actually.
And that opportunity is what we seized when we got the Q&A session with Safaricom. And today is the second step of this, where we'll be happy to take on additional questions and give more clarifications to the extent that we can.
So KICTANet tasked me to lead that discussion, which I did. And we had 5 issues. We wanted to surface the consumer concerns, competition issues, the things about is Safaricom dominant or not, innovation, infrastructure, and universal access. And the last issue we discussed was on technology and elections.
I think the question asked many times is, with all the success of M-Pesa, why don't you go to other countries? When are you going to Africa? And my answer to that is, even with the success of M-Pesa in Kenya, I still believe we're just scratching the surface. There's so much that can be done in Kenya.
My question is, how do we ensure that Safaricom also makes itself accountable to we, the users, on amount of requests, the number of requests, which were accepted, which were denied, which ones had court orders, which ones did not have court orders?
So to answer your question, we don't make those disclosures because we don't have the power to make those disclosures. If you close a gap in policy, I'm sure we'll be able to comply.
There is reason to believe that there is internet traffic tampering from Safaricom side and maybe surveillance.
There is no big brother or anyone who is looking through Safaricom's network. It is a very secure network. So simple answer is there's nothing like that. But that's my answer to that particular question for your friend.
Some time back, probably last year or the year before, I had the same problem with the PRS, and I ran to I&M, the Safaricom center. And what the Safaricom customer care representative told me, oh, it's likely you must have registered yourself by mistake, and so they unregistered me.
What you experienced there is something that unfortunately has been allowed to happen because the people who subscribed you to that service, because someone actually did, are allowed to exist almost without regulation. So it's a problem for us. It's a huge problem for us in reputation terms. We had to refund, but we had already suffered some reputation damage.
Keith, when you introduce yourself, say what you do. Are you a lawyer? Are you a PRSP? Are you a hacker?
I'm a Safaricom subscriber. So my question goes to Brian in regards to M-Pesa. And my question is confidentiality of my M-Pesa transaction.
So M-Pesa is no different from the other data we have about the consumer. The policy, and inside Safaricom, it's also in the constitution, so it's the same, and we'll handle data in the same way.
My question goes to M-Pesa, the M-Pesa guy.
He's called Brian.
Sorry. Now, there's this transaction limit that a subscriber is allowed to transact in a day, 140,000.
This original issue of the limits, in my mind, I always thought it was a regulatory issue. Still is. So how are you surmounting that now?
For businesses and registered organizations, the limits are quite flexible, and you do not have the same restriction.
Okay,
but
great.
again, it's a conversation that Steve is having the regulator.
No regulation or legislation around Bitcoin and blockchain, which is true. However, when they started M-Pesa, it was exactly the same context, and they took it on and ran without regulations.
We're a regulated company. We are not going to break the law so that we can please anyone. That's not going to happen. We're not going to break the law and deal in Bitcoin if the issuer of our license, the CBK, has said, do not deal with Bitcoin. That's not going to happen.
Mpiga ngumi ukuta. So for those of you who don't understand Swahilis, if you hit a wall with your fist, what happens? The wall doesn't even know you've hit it. You go to hospital. So we must change some of these conversations, especially when you're engaging with government. Serikali.
They hit the walls, as Ali put it. We don't mind hurting our arms, and sometimes the wall yields. It's given that we are under surveillance. Our calls are listened to. We are monitored. I'm putting you on a spot that you do not facilitate that. I want you to say that publicly, that you do not facilitate.
Answer I will give is that we don't. And I'll give that answer, straight away. We don't. I can tell you we do over 100 million calls a day. The SMSs we can't even count. So if anyone is using our network to track all the 26 million customers we have, we don't know what kind of system they would have. It would have to be bigger than our network, and our network is not small.
M-Pesa is becoming more like a verb, but I think there's a challenge in the fees still. For Wanjiko, it is still not as competitive? Who's going pesa ya kutoa, pesa ya kutuma?
We have started addressing that issue of Wanjiko by launching what we have called M-Pesa Kadogo, that allows any customer to send less than 100 shillings for free when it comes to a person-to-person transfer, and also for what we call buy goods and pay bill, 200 shillings and below for free.
Off the cuff, I did learn that you actually have muscle to just talk to CA and say, we want GG to sit on behalf of Safaricom. I mean, you have muscle. We know, like, for example, you have a direct line to the big house on the hill. So
that red phone that is still there somewhere.
Yes, they have, that their line to the big house is on speed dial. So Steve, why have you not taken that action to actually impress upon CA to have a representative on that board?
Universal Service Fund, and the fact that, and the allegation, I should say, that we have a direct line to certain offices, with a lot of respect, we are a very regulated company, more regulated than people imagine. This issue was not a Safaricom issue. This issue was an industry issue, because Safaricom is not the only contributor to the Universal Services Fund. You know, we're told, please give us your money and stay there. You know, which is, to use colloquial terms, not cool. Yeah. We want to have a voice in the table, and it has not happened, and there is no way we can sort of turn around and just say, we are Safaricom, we want a seat at the table. It doesn't. I wish it worked like that. If it did, I would not have complained about it. We'd already have a seat on the table.
They have this little cab thing, eh? So it means that they can actually compete with Uber. Am I likely to ride a little in London or New York?
So maybe, Steve, do you mind me answering that question for you? Go for it. Little is not owned by Safaricom. Little is owned by Kraft Silicon. And they partner with Safaricom like any other partner. Do you want to correct me on that?
No, you're absolutely right. Safaricom is going through partnerships. We don't do everything by ourselves. We allow other people to use our platform to get to the customers that they need.
We have, as KICTANet, never done this type of thing before, and urge any other corporate that really wants to have an open and frank discussion about the issues that affect their customers. I think as a platform, we'll be willing to facilitate. Thank you.
I know we have a lot more questions, and looking forward to having those discussions over a drink.
Safaricom will continue engaging with KICTANet and the ICT community. We'll also continue to speak with a loud voice about shaping policy and increasing the space for ICTs in this country. We shall also try to keep on growing and growing with others. Thank you.
But tonight we just want to make it ceremonial, to show that we have engaged, and to say that we really appreciate this and hope that like you have committed, we will continue engaging.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Brian, and thank you, Walu. Thank you, Grace, and the KICTANet team. And now I would like to declare the bar open.